Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to Seriously Arabic where we learn a bit about Quran and its grammar. So just to see what we have been up to these days, we have learnt about the 4 fragments so far. We have learnt about the idafa and the mudaf ilay, we have learnt about the huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'l and their ism, the huruf jara and their majroor, as well as the ismul ishara and their musharun ilay. So now we'll just move on to full sentences briefly and we'll have a look at the khabariyya. And from this category, we'll be learning about the Ismiyah sentence, which is the nominal sentence. And this is a sentence where it's made up of nouns and it has an is somewhere within that sentence. Some notes about the nominal sentence, about the Jumla Ismiyah, that is that it's made up by minimum 2 parts. So the first part is the mubtada, which is the subject, the thing that we're talking about, and then you have the khabar, which is the information that we're giving. An example of this is ar-rajulu salihun. Ar-rajulu is the mubtada, this is what we are talking about, and salihun is the khabar because it's the information that we're giving. Now the reason why this is a mubtada khabar is because we have a break in here where we put an is. So this means the man, Salihun, is pious. Now the is, you can't see, it's implied and it's invisible because there's no word for is in English. So we need to identify where do we put the is in the Jumla Ismiya sentences. So there are 5 things that we can keep in mind. So number 1 is if you see a ma'rifa word followed by a nakira word, there is an is in between those. So for example, in this sentence over here, you have a rajulu, which is ma'rif, and salihun, which is nakira, and you have a break. And by break, I mean that there is no more connection between rajul and salihun. Like this is not an idafa, this is not mawsuf sifa. This is literally none of the fragments that we have learned, and because there is no connection, we put an is in the middle. So if you see a ma'rifa word followed by a nakira word, you put an is. And then number 2, you have detached rafa pronouns. For example, ana. Now ana means I, but it doesn't just mean I, because when you see a rafa pronoun, as soon as you see that, you put after it is. So it's I am. Of course, you don't say I is, you say I am. Or for example, huwa, when you see huwa, is not just he, it's actually he is. So for example, you have ana Yusuf. This sentence is not I Yusuf, it is I am Yusuf. There is a break in here, so you put is in here. Now you can argue saying that the 4 properties of ana matches with the 4 properties of Yusuf, which is correct. But the dhamir, they can never be mawsuf. And because dhamir can never be mawsuf, we know for sure that of course this is going to have to be the mubtada, Yusuf is the khabar. And a note is that sometimes you can find 2 words that have the same exact properties, but despite this, it's actually a Jumla Ismiya sentence and not a Mawsuf Sifa sentence. And how you tell is that if that thing that you think is Sifa, if it can't be a description because by the meaning of it, like Yusuf is not a description for anything, for example, because it's not a description in meaning, it can't be a Sifa, and in fact it won't be. And the other way to tell is through context and practice. And the other way where you can figure out where an is that after the ism of a huruf mushabbatu bil fa'l, there is a break. There is a break after the ism of the huruf mushabbatu bil fa'l, and this is where you put your is in. So an example, I'll give a slightly hard example. So if I give you the sentence innahum humul mufsidun. Now, inna is your huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'l, and then the hum is the ism of inna. Now, with the inna, they don't have mubtada khabar sentences. If you see an inna, you're going to have an ism and you're going to have a khabar of inna. Okay, so we found the ism, and everything that is after the is going to be the khabar. So the is, you put it after the ism, and then humul mufsidun is going to be its khabar. Now humul mufsidun is actually a jumla ismiya sentence on its own. This is the mubtada and this is the khabar. However, we can't put a break well, we can't put an is in here because we've already put it after the ism of inna, and if you put it again, it doesn't make sense. We won't be able to translate the sentence. So if you have found one place where you put an is, then you don't put another place. You don't put another break anywhere else. So we translate this as one, then we put a break here, and we translate this as one phrase. And in fact, when you translate it, okay, let's complete this actually. So mubtada khabar, this is going to be eventually the khabar of inna. And then when you're translating, this is going to be undoubtedly they. So that's the translation for the ism. And now we'll translate this whole khabar as one. Undoubtedly they are the ones who spread corruption. Mufsidun means one who spread corruption. The number 4, if you have an ismul ishara and the word after does not have alif lam, then you put an is after the ismul ishara. So we have looked at that in fact in the last session. So for example, hada masjidun, there is no alif lam here, so this is going to be a full sentence. This is a mosque, which means the hada, remember I told you that when it has alif lam, masjid is going to be musharun ilay. Well, in this case, hada is going to be the mubtada. It's still an ismul ishara, but it's the mubtada, and this masjid is not musharun ilay, is actually the khabar. And the 5th thing is that the other 4 things that we have learned, these are some like tricks to find out where the is, but the real skill really is to find breaks in the chain. That's why I keep saying you have a break here, you have a break here, because by breaking a chain, I mean that you cannot find any more links. Because when you find links to things, it's like a whole massive phrase. But as soon as the phrase ends, that means that you have to stop and add is there to make the sentence into a full sentence. So the grandest example of that is the analysis of Surah Takwir that we have done. We have innahu and the huruf mushabbatul bil fa'il here. I put one break here. Now this whole sentence is actually one phrase that is linked to the other, because you have Rasul, that's a mawsuf, and then all of this is actually the sifa. It may have 3 sifas, but it's still one big giant compound. So all of this is linked together, which is why you can't put is anywhere else. And the other thing is that we already put a break here, and once you find one break, you can't put another break there unless the sentence ends and then it's the start of a new sentence. But this is actually one whole sentence, and in a sentence you only have one is. So just to recap what we have done, we have learned that a nominal sentence made by the mubtada and the khabar, and between the mubtada and the khabar there is an is. Now where do you find that is? If you have a marifa word followed by a nakira, and you have an is in the middle. If you have a rafa detached pronoun, you put an is right after that. If you have an ism of a huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'il, there's an is right after that. If you have an ismul ishara and no alif lam on the next word, you put an is after that. And if you can't find the is because it's not any of the 4 that we have discussed, and these 4 are not foolproof either, you have to look for breaks in the chain where there is no more links that you can do. When we do tarkeeb, we branch things together, we link things together, but as soon as the links end and you can't join any more things together, then that's where you put your is there. And after that is, after you put that break, everything else is going to be the khabar. So let's go and do some exercises. We are going to analyze the following verses of the Quran and translate them. I have put the meanings for the words that you may not be aware of already, and just pause and do these, and then I'll go through the answers. Okay, let's start with the first one. We have ulaika ala hudam mir rabbihim. Ulaika is a ismul ishara, but there is no alif lam after that, so we're gonna treat this as the mubtada. Okay, there's a break here. Now ala hudam mir rabbihim. Ala is your huruf jar. Hudan has a nasab because it's mabni, but it's actually in the state of majroor. And between min rabbihim, there's actually no connection with this majroor over here. So in reality, there is another break here. There's no more link, but we already found one break here. So that's enough for us. We'll treat this whole thing as one phrase. We have min, which is huruf jar, and then rabbihim is the mudaf. And then, well, the him here is the mudaf ilayhi. And all of this is going to be the majroor for this min. So when you go and translate it, we make this the mubtada and the rest is going to be a big khabar. So the translation is, those are ala hudan, on the guidance, min rabbihim, from their Lord. Let's have a look at the next one. Lahum adhabun azim. Lahum, this lahum is a huruf al-jar, and the hum is its majroor. And then adhabun azim, this word adhab has no link. There's no link between adhab and the jar majroor, which means that we can put a break in here. There's a break in the chain, there's a break in the grammatical structures. There's no more links. Adhab and azim, these are actually mawsoof and sifa. Now, can you call lahum a mubtada? You can't. Arabs don't allow that. If you have a huruf al-jar at the beginning of a sentence and it's majroor, they're actually going to be the khabar, and then you have what comes after them is going to be the mubtada. So actually adhabun azim is going to be the mubtada. You don't have to translate the mubtada first. You can translate the khabar first, but it's just in grammar. The jar majroor can never, at the beginning of a sentence, they're never mubtada. So we have to treat this as khabar. This is the khabar that comes before, and this is the mubtada that is delayed and it comes after. So when we translate, this is going to be, for them is adhabun azim, a great punishment. So the next set of sentences, we have fi qulubihim maradun. Fi is your jar. Then qulubihim is one phrase linked to the other. So that's going to be your mudaf, and the mudaf ilayhi, and that's going to be your majroor. Now the word maradun doesn't have any connection to qulubihim. It doesn't have any connection with fi. So we put a break here. So in the end, maradun is going to be the mubtada, because we can't consider a jar majroor to be a mubtada. So that's going to be the khabar. This is the technical side of it, but the main thing I want you to understand from this session is how to translate nominal sentences. So you have fi qulubihim maradun, in their hearts is a disease. And the next one is alhamdu lillahi. Alhamdu, it's something. Then you have lillah, which is jar, and then that's going to be the majroor. Now the thing is that alhamdu is not linked to the word lillahi in any shape or form, which is why we're going to have to put a break here. So this is considered the mubtada, and then this will be the khabar. And then when you're going to translate it, you say, all praise is for Allah. Okay, next we have the last two for today. We have innaha baqaratun safra'u. Inna is your huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'l. I'm just gonna say huruf nasab. Ha is the ism of inna. And now we're gonna have to find the khabar of inna, because there is no mubtada khabar. When you have an inna, you have the ism and its khabar. We have baqaratun safra'u. Let's figure out the four properties of baqara and the four properties of safra. Baqaratun is one, it's feminine, it's rafa, and it's indefinite. Safra is also one, and is safra feminine? Yes, because of the alif mamduda, and is also rafa because of this, and it's indefinite. Safra is indefinite, but it's light. And the reason why it's light is because it's ghair munsarif, and what gives it the partly flexible i'rab is the fact that it ends in an alif mamduda, and is also feminine because of the alif mamduda, because alif mamduda is one of the signs of femininity of a word. So baqaratun is the mawsoof, then safra'u is the sifa. You have mawsoof sifa, which makes the khabar of inna. Okay, now ismul inna and khabar inna, in the end they join to make a jumla ismiya sentence. So we have, when you translate, it's going to be undoubtedly, or for sure, she is, this is where you put your is, baqaratun safra, she is a yellow cow. I mean, it's meant to be it, but cows are feminine. Then we have Allahu alimun bizzalimin. Okay, the word Allah is ma'rifa, and is followed by a nakira word, which means that there is a break here where we can put is. Now Allah is going to be the mubtada, since it's the only word, so it's the only thing that can be mubtada. Now alimun bizalimin altogether is going to be the khabar. Now alimun has no link with bizalimin. This is a jar and this is the majroor. But alimun doesn't link in any shape or form. So we have the sentence when it translates is Allah is knowledgeable. Allah is knowledgeable, or you can say is full aware. Bizalimin of the wrongdoers. Or you can say fully aware about the wrongdoers. But what this ba here is, this ba here means that Allah is fully acquainted with what the wrongdoers are doing, and it's one of the other occasions where ba is not translated as with or by, because it just wouldn't make sense in English. But the ba can be used in these situations in Arabic. So the main thing from this session is that you are able to recognize where to put the is. I don't want you to worry about recognizing what is the mubtada and what is the khabar and that stuff. I also want to know if you're finding this easy or hard, or if I'm explaining things well or not, because you guys don't tell me anything and sometimes it looks like I am just teaching ghosts. So I hope that I have managed to convey the concepts well, and I will see you all next time. Assalamu alaikum.